What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. This video is over 4 years old. In this video, I talk about Madden 17 and what they could do to improve the game with real-time injuries. At the time, Madden had a physics system where tackles were a little bit more realistic and less animation dependent. And in this play, Darren McFadden gets his leg stuck underneath a cornerback as he's tackled. And I mentioned with this, it would bring so much replay value. If you could have your entire franchise, your star running back, taken out for the season or career on any given play, realistically, simply because of the way he was tackled. That to me would add a level of realism, suspense, meaningful gameplay, and if nothing else, would prevent the game from becoming as stale and repetitive as it is. In the over 4 years this has been made, nothing really has happened. Madden injuries right now reflect this. A player gets hurt, they kind of go into the fetal position. As you can see, other players just start shifting around each other. And essentially, what you have is a cutscene that plays out while the player lays on the ground. No one has not wanted this to get better. Now, I offer this all because today I saw the UFC trailer. The UFC trailer for UFC 4, which is a game that has been around far shorter, understand, than Madden. And they tout a new injury system. Within this new injury system, I was very much taken back by the attention to detail. They talk about a critical knee injury, and that because you were injured, it would decrease not only the points that you would earn, but you would have a variety of ways to try to get past this. Whether you spend cash, or whether you simply don't take a fight that you were offered. This, to me, builds immersion. This builds replay value. This is what we ask Madden to have. How they can't get there in the UFC game I don't know. Moving forward from that, they actually show, in a little bit too much detail in large gloves, I will say, how this impacts the fighter. His stamina and leg health is temporarily decreased, and these ratings would change based on how you, as the player, elected to deal with the injury. This is something that Madden is severely lacking. Yes, they offer some training, but they offer nothing to this level of detail or replay commitment. Now, I say all this because when we ask for something to be in a game, we don't just ask for it. This is Blitz the League 2. As you can see, Marcus Dupree has a skull fracture and is out for 6 games. It's a pretty tough player to have a skull fracture and only be out 6 games, but regardless, injuries in this game are dealt with vastly different than Madden in its simulation football. Trainers come out on the field after you see a cutscene where whatever happens, happens. A muscle gets blown apart, a brain gets bounced around in a skull, but it also has a minigame element to it. And in this minigame element, you can actually control where you try to hurt a player. In this case, the hip, the shoulder, or the elbow. Now, I'm not saying that EA needs to adapt to this and have us target players, but I am saying the ideology of what we've asked for as a community is there. We're not just making things up and asking for them to be put in the game. We're either showing them what they've done in the past, what other games have done, or expressing why we want our game to function a certain way, and then providing that feedback. In this case, I don't know what the UFC community did, but clearly their interactions with developers have gotten to the point where their feedback, constructive or anger-based, has gotten to the point where it's making meaningful changes in the game, or at least in the trailer is showing to move the game forward. We, however, with Madden, are still in a position where I'm showing a game from console generations ago, not even claiming to be simulation football, doing the cutscene, the injury scene, and the actual injury better than Madden. Now, we understand EA has to work within the confines of the NFL. I don't need to see graphic player injuries. I don't need to see players injured left and right. I don't need to see the ambulance driving over players as it did before, but we would like to have some type of skill, some type of reward, and some type of variation to the injuries to help improve the game. Now, to be transparent with you guys, every day I have videos scheduled to go up. I've had videos that I cannot put up because each and every morning I'm confronted by something EA does, seemingly stupider than the day prior, that I have to stop what I'm doing and go create a 5 or 6 minute video for you. Today, we got the Yak 'em Up versus Rack 'em Up X Factor Superstar abilities. That was then followed by Clint Oldenburg, who I just asked if he had let down the community. I literally cannot make this up. On a Wednesday night, I do a video asking if Clint Oldenburg has let down the gaming community. I ask him to come on my channel to do an interview, and in the morning, he responds to another gaming article that questions how much EA is going to do with Fix Madden franchise, and makes a tweet that essentially says, "I'm glad you did this. This is what we use to vet who we speak to. When you need interviews or information, you're not on the same page as us." The problem is, it's not that the community and EA are on the different page. It's that we're seemingly going in different directions. I understand that this is not appealing to Madden Ultimate Team. When I talk about player injuries, I understand that I'm pushing upstream because player injuries would work against Ultimate Team. For example, let's say you bought a MUT pack. Let's say within that MUT bundle, you got a player that you wanted, a 90, a 95 overall quarterback. And you were going to then go online, use him, play as that quarterback that you paid, let's say if it's a regular bundle, $100 for. What is your level of frustration with the game when that player goes down with an injury and is no longer accessible the rest of the game? I think we can agree, whether we're MUT players or not, that is not something we want a gamer to experience. You should not have, if you view it as a pay-to-play or a pay-to-win, a situation where those players making an investment outside of the game have those players that they purchase get hurt and become unusable for any period of time. So you can make a case that this is why EA Sports is reluctant to build upon any type of injury system in its game because it works against the number one revenue generator that they currently have. However, when you take 4 years, as I've shown in this video, of feedback about trying to improve something, and you don't do anything to it, it creates a real conflict. Because while you don't necessarily have to put this into the game, you should start to integrate something into the game to make it appear as if you almost kind of care just a little bit about what the community is saying. I offer that because there is not one person in this community that will sit there today and tell you they do not want some type of addition or change to the injury system. So when you have a collective group of gamers from all walks, whether it's the online competitive Madden players, whether it's the franchise players, the Play Now players, that are all saying, hey, an improvement to the injury system, even if it's just visual, would be welcomed here, you really push against those gamers' desires to purchase another product when you don't do anything. And it's not as if this is getting put on the back burner to actually go out and put things in the game that we want, because I think EA can tell by the feedback this year, even if it's just the visuals of the comic book cards, fans are not happy with the direction of this game. We're not pleased with where it's been. We're not pleased with where it's going. And there's some serious doubts as to whether this game is going to reasonably improve this year. The fact that they're taking weeks on weeks to show what they've done in franchise mode, if anything at all, is an indication that they are not prepared to quickly react and adapt to what the community wants in their product, unless it's player ratings and players complaining. Because if you have NFL players complaining, or players who complain about a player's rating, we've learned that gets almost immediate rectification. Immediately, that's rectified. We're right on it. We can't have the player upset, and if we've disrespected somebody's favorite player, God forbid they might not buy the game, we better get right over on that. EA Sports, we are not working against you. This is not us versus you. We all want the game to be better. But you have to understand, when we provide you the feedback, it is your responsibility to acknowledge it. And if you're not going to do anything with it, explain to us why. I don't need to make a 5th-year video about adding in real-time injuries if there's a real reason that you won't do it. But I would like to know why other people in the same company are listening to their gamers' feedback, putting what they want in the game, and our community seemingly does not do that. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this. I appreciate you checking out this video, and you know I will be back, probably much sooner than I expect to be, in the week, with more commentary.